Hey everybody, happy Wax on Wednesdays. Today is week 3 of the monotype printing here on Wax on Wednesdays. And today I'm going to be using, this is a really fun process, and I'm going to be using alcohol inks and oil stick. So here I'm laying down just some white oil stick, and I also use just a little bit of black. And the thing to remember here with these mono prints is that everything that your paper picks up is going to be exactly in reverse. So even though you don't really see it with this white and a little bit of black, once you pick it up on white paper, it's actually the first thing. Everything's exactly in reverse. So what happens, what the effect this gives is a really sort of a grungy, weathered sort of look, and I really love it on these abstract prints. So you'll see here in the finished pieces that I show that wonderful sort of grunge effect. And I don't want to add too much black, just a tiny little bit, but you can see how that gives just a wonderful effect to these abstract prints. So here I'm just add a little bit of white each time. I'm not quite sure how the alcohol ink would affect the plate, and that's what drove me to do this, to discover this to begin with, is I sort of wanted to protect my my plate from drying out from that alcohol inks, and I wanted a better trying the alcohol inks just on the bare plate wasn't working for me. And so I thought, what about just, using the oil sticks that I always use as a base layer? And that's how I got from A to B here on these prints. And I really love the look that white gives, and sometimes I add a little bit of black for shading or shadowing, and sometimes I just leave it all white. But I really love the look that's sort of the muted, weathered look, because remember it's picking up in reverse. So you can see it's really bright before you lay it down, but then you pick it up on the paper and everything's in reverse. So it's a very muted, because that white is right on top of it. So it's muting all of those alcohol ink colors. And I know the whole fun about alcohol inks a lot of times is the brightness and the vibrance of the color. So these look so beautiful on the plate, and they're just fun to watch. Of course, alcohol inks are just a ton of fun to just watch them spread and watch them sort of morph into whatever they're going to do. And I knew they were going to be muted when I started using the oil stick, but instead of being disappointed that I didn't have that vibrancy that I normally expect from an alcohol ink, I ended up being really pleasantly surprised at this sort of weathered graphic look that I could further work with just a few mark making tools to really take these to the next level. So I show you at the end of this video exactly how I work with these after they are dry. So here on the YouTube videos, it's usually a very sped up process, so I can show you as much as I can in the little time that I have. But if you'd like to see a more step-by-step version, a slowed down version, or extra footage, extra content, extra commentary on exactly how I do these every Wednesday, I have a new Patreon page. This is week 3 for the Patreon page, so I have 3 weeks of content on there for you to see for the last 3 weeks. Sometimes it's extra footage, sometimes it's extra commentary of step-by-step how I did it, sometimes it's extra pieces. They're slowed down so you can see a little bit better how I did everything step by step. And if you'd like to join me over on Patreon, it's the Busy Bee level is the Wax on Wednesdays level, and there's 4 different levels on the page, so you can choose exactly how you would like to participate on the Patreon page, what content you would like. And every single level above the Busy Bee level also gets the Wax on Wednesday footage. So that's the great thing about it. It's the reason I signed up over there, is that it's so much content every single month that you can get, and that you can choose exactly what you would like to see. So if you want to have a little extended time on Wax on Wednesdays and a little bit more painting fun with me each month, then please join me over there on the Patreon page. Would love to see you. This is actually ended up being my favorite piece right here. And I'm going to leave all of the tools that I use and all of the colors of the inks and everything that I use over on the blog. So you can always see every single supply that I use on the blog page at ShariReplogle.com. I'll leave a link for that again also below the video so you can see exactly what I used. These are a combination of Pinata inks and also the Ranger inks. So I'll leave exactly the links for what I used there. But you can see with the mark making, it ended up being just my favorite piece here. And I also it's the one that I posted over there on the Instagram as well. But these, I am also using just plain copy paper for this. So this is the Hammermill copy paper that I often use with these prints on the gel plate, and it works great. I haven't tried the rice papers or anything like that yet. That's my next step for these, to see how they look on different papers. Right now I'm having a lot of fun with that copy paper. Also, if you would like to see exactly how I add encaustic to these as an encaustic finish, then check out last week's video, and I'll leave a link to that as well, because I show exactly how I add an encaustic finish to these pieces. And you don't have to add encaustic to them, you can just let them dry. They'll normally, even with that very, very thin layer of oil stick as a base, that paper is pretty absorbent, the copy paper, so it normally by the next day they're pretty dry, and you can do whatever you wish with them. But if you'd like to see them enhanced with encaustic, then check out last week's video, and I show a step-by-step process of how I put a finish on these with encaustic. So you can see on these, I'm just having a lot of fun playing around with color, and the color reacts differently. Then of course you can see that it comes out completely differently because of the muting effect that white provides. It comes out completely different when it's printed. So the colors that you put down aren't necessarily what you see in the end. So it's fun to play around with these and sort of get used to the colors that are going to be produced when you're using this white oil stick, and also how the alcohol ink reacts with the laying on top of the oil paint. So it reacts a little bit differently. You can see it still has that sort of beautiful spreading effect that the alcohol ink does, that the reason you love alcohol ink, and how it sort of continues to spread on the oil stick. And so that was a delightful surprise as well, but it doesn't spread as much as if you were saying using the alcohol inks on Yupo paper or something like that. It doesn't have that sort of spreading effect. So, and then you get a different effect with the metallics as well. So the metallics are reacting in a different way because they're on top of oil paint. So this is the type of experimentation that that I really had fun with. And here you get to see the fun results of that experimentation, but I really played around with the idea of using the alcohol inks on the gel press plate for my purposes for encaustic for quite some time, and just hadn't come up with a really good solution when it came to getting a really good print. And using the oil stick as a background, I was, like I said, afraid that I was not going to enjoy the muted colors. I knew that was going to happen and take away from the vibrancy of those alcohol inks, but I really was pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed that effect, and the great thing about this is that putting the oil stick down on the plate first, your alcohol ink is not going to dry up. So if you just put it on the plate, it's going to dry up really quick and it's not going to print well. By putting that oil stick as a barrier between the plate and your ink, your ink doesn't dry out. You have quite a few minutes to play around with, which normally you wouldn't for alcohol ink, but because that oil stick is going to stay wet for you, it gives you extra working time. So your print ends up, and not only that, but your print ends up coming out exactly how you put it down. So I do take my time working with these and work sort of slowly, because I want it to be a little bit dry. I don't want it to be excessively wet. And you can see it didn't really spread a lot. It's pretty much exactly how I put it down there on the plate. And that is the wonderful thing about these working with the alcohol ink on top of the oil stick, is that the prints end up coming out exactly how you laid it down without the alcohol inks drying out. So that was a wonderful, pleasant surprise to these, and I hope that you enjoy this discovery, and I'm going to let you just sort of sit back and see how I used exactly how I added some mark making to a couple of these prints. And I used, again, if you want to see the tools that I used, it's basically some inks and some markers and things like that to add a few more extra details, the finer details to these prints. If you'd like to see any of the tools that I use, then check out the blog with I'll have the entire list of supplies that I use each week. And also, if you'd like to see how I did each of the 6 prints with the mark making, then check out that extra footage on the Patreon page. So I'm going to step back here and let you enjoy the mark making process, but I hope that you give this process a try. And if you do, then let us know in the comments below how you enjoyed it, what you discovered, and leave a comment in the comment section below the video. And I would love to hear from you. So I hope that you have a great Wednesday.